Shalom, everyone. My name is Rob Campos, and today we're going to be talking about Happy New Year, the Happy New Year, the truth about the Happy New Year. We're going to talk about a lot of information that I came across, a lot of research and study that I came across. But before I get into that, I want to take this time, and on behalf of me and David Campos, we want to thank the viewers, thank everyone who liked and shared and commented on our Christmas video. We got an unexpected feedback in return from the people of Yahweh that went to show us that there really is Elohim of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and that there are people on my same team in a sense. And I'm very grateful for that. That is motivation for me, and it's more concrete, proof that that what we're doing, bringing the truth to the people, it really is, the works of the Almighty King. And so today we're going to be talking about the celebration of the New Year, and the customs, the ancient customs, and where it comes from, it comes from Babylon, and the Babylonian traditions and customs, how they transcend from country to country, culture to culture. And and I'm going to share with you some, just a little bit of the information that I came across, and hopefully this is a blessing to you. But also, like I said in my last video, I don't expect, I don't want you to believe anything that I say. I would love for you to go back and verify, the information that I say. This is not something that I'm just creating. So the information is out there. The information is there. We just have to go out and go get it. And with that said, like I said, this comes from Babylon. This comes from, ancient traditions and ancient customs. And so this is the city of Nimrod and Cush that they established. This is just a picture of the city of Babylon. And as I mentioned in our last study, where the city of Babylon was so prosperous, it was so rich, it was in between two major rivers, and these rivers were the Tigris River and the Euphrates River, which also made the city of Nineveh a great city as well, because it ran along, I believe it was the Tigris River or the Euphrates River, I'm not too sure. But just to give you a clear indication of where this is at, Babylon is in today modern Iraq. It's in between Syria and Iran, and these two rivers that I'm talking about run from up top down in between between Babylon. So just to give you a clear idea, this is the Middle East. This is in the Middle East, where even today, the adversaries of the Jewish people, of the Jewish nations, come from these people, from this part of the land, this part of the Middle East, and this, and the customs of Babylon, the customs that that I'm going to talk about, they transcend through culture to culture, from country to country, from emperor to emperor, from pharaoh to pharaoh, all the way to our time. So so the who are the ones who established Babylon, the ones who created Babylon. And I'm going to use the same template that we used in our Christmas video, and we're going to start with the repopulation of the earth after the flood. And in Genesis chapter 10 verse 1, it says, "Now this is the genealogy of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and the sons were born to them after the flood." Now I want to point out, just like Brother David pointed out in our last video, is that we're going to be focusing on the line of Ham. And we're going to be focused on the line of Ham, which is not the promised line. The promised line comes from Shem. And from Shem comes you know, the line of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. This is where the term the anti-Semite comes from. Is from this line of Sem or Shem. But we're going to be talking about Abraham's cousin, which is Cush. Cush, the father of Nimrod. In our last video, we brought the lineage and from culture to culture of Nimrod, and how Nimrod was reincarnated from time to time and from culture to culture, you know, to lead us to the December 25th, you know, the Christmas celebration from the time of Nimrod. But today, this is a different celebration. Today, I mean, not today, but this holiday coming up is the New Year celebration. And we're going to trace it back to the time of Cush, Nimrod's father. And so, chapter 10:6, it said, the son of Ham were Cush, Mizraim, put in Canaan. Cush begot Nimrod, and he began to be mighty one on the earth. These are the families of the sons of Noah, according to their generations, in their nations, and from these are the nations who were divided on the earth after the flood. And so, we now know that Nimrod began to be a mighty one on the earth, but it doesn't really mention much about Cush. Cush was more like the mastermind, the one in the backdraft, the one masterminding everything. And we're gonna talk about Cush a little bit, you know, a little bit more. Now, as like how we did in our Christmas study, we spoke about Diodorus, the Greek historian, that he, according to him and his findings and his research and findings, he says that Nimrod is also Ninus. And he says that Nimrod is also Ninus, and he says that the city of Nineveh, it really translates to the city of Ninus. And so, and we read in Genesis chapter 10, it says Nimrod is the founder of Nineveh. And so, according to this study, okay, now Nimrod has taken on another name too. And he's known by another name, which is Ninus, city of, you know, the founder of the city of Nineveh. And so, Nimrod, as we explained in our other video, Nimrod was the self-proclaimed sun god. He was known as Ninus. He was, you know, and he took on so many other names throughout cultures and generations. And in our old video, we go really deep into that study and how Nimrod goes, you know, through time. You know, so you can go back to watch those videos, you know, to better understand, you know, what I mean by that. But one of the names that he takes on is Marduk or Merodach. And this is a name in particular that refers back to Nimrod that I want you to keep in mind. Keep you know, Nimrod as Merodach. Nimrod, as I said before, he was the king of Babylon. And so, you know, just to keep in mind, you know, and that Merodach is also refers back to Nimrod. But because we're talking about Cush and his father, you know, we're gonna continue with him. Now, according to the same Greek historian, he says since it's Nimrod, he says Ninus is said to be the son of Belus or Bel. And so we're gonna have to try to connect the pieces here. We're gonna try to connect the pieces here. He said he's son of Belus or Bel, but we already know and we already read in Genesis chapter 10, or also in 1 Chronicles, it says that Cush brought forth Nimrod. So we know now that Nimrod's father is Cush, and he says that if Ninus, the founder of the city of Nineveh, he says to be the son of Belus or Bel, that only leads us to conclude that Bel is refers to as Cush. So Cush is Belus or Bel. And so, you know, trying to connect the pieces, trying to connect the dots, you know, and this is how, you know, we're gonna connect these pieces. And keep in mind, Bel, he was known as the god of gods. And this also goes for Nimrod, the father of the gods. And the reason why is because the gods, the deities, the self-deification of Cush and Nimrod transcends through time, through culture, through so many other countries, that makes them the father and the god of gods. And keep in mind, who is the one behind it all? Who is the one that is behind all of this, going on? At the end of the day, we have Yahweh and Hasatan. Yahweh is doing his works. Hasatan is also doing his works. He is known, Bel, he is known as the god of confusion. The god of confusion. And I'm going to explain to you why he was the god of confusion, or his name meant to confuse his being. He lived up to his the meaning of his essence. And I'm going to explain why. Bel was known as the confounder. Now the word confound, to confound means to confuse, or to cause, to be the